Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. I am your host, Brady Wilson, and as always, I'm with my co-host, Chase Olschwinger.
What's going on?
And, we have a lot of sports to talk about today. Some basketball, some football, some base. Everything is hitting. Zach Babb will not be with us today. He'll be with us next week, which will be an emergency episode. We're going to be doing it on Monday, so it's in time for the baseball playoffs. Now, that will interfere with football, so we won't be able to, review what happens that night, Monday Night Football. So we will review Week 4, really, when we do Week 5 as well. So we'll just do 2 for 1. We won't even review what happens unless we may do the Cowboys, but we won't really talk about everything else. We'll just push it back and do most baseball and basketball stuff and some hockey. So right now we're going to start with basketball, and normally in the past couple weeks there hasn't been much to talk about in the basketball realm, but today some news dropped, Chase, and I want you to take it away.
Yeah, I think if we were 2 hours ago, we still wouldn't have any basketball news to talk about. But some huge news just in the NBA in general. Damian Lillard finally found a landing destination. He is going to Milwaukee. I didn't see that coming. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm sure as well as everyone else that he was, pretty much going to land in Miami. But no, he's going to Miami. So at least he's going to be, he's out of the Western Conference at least. So that's nice. But I don't know. Do you like the Miami? Do you think it's a good fit?
I mean, obviously, I'm happy that Miami didn't get him. Because as a Dallas fan, I don't hate Miami. I just don't really like him. You know what I mean? So I like it. I think that it's a really nice pairing, him and Giannis. I think
for sure.
It feels like it'll work. And I think he's finally on a contending team that's, Portland has been a team that's contended, but they've never had enough to push it over the edge. They've always been, hey, they'll get there. They may reach the second or third round even, but then they're just going to get pushed out.
Right.
And so I like it for them. I think that, Portland gets back. It's not enough, in my opinion. And here's why. I think, and I was listening to 105.3, their coverage of it, and Gavin Dawson on G-Bag Nation was bringing up a really interesting point, which is he felt like the superstar trade bubble had popped. Like, if this was done 2 years ago, even last year, they probably would have got multiple picks and a lot more. But I think it was interesting to think about that, hey, maybe that, because, you were seeing star players get traded for way over what they were probably worth.
Right.
And so I wonder if this was kind of the first maybe of a line of stars that get traded for a little bit less, and it kind of the market needs to work itself back up.
Right.
Because, Damian Lillard, yes, he's, I think he's on the wrong side of 30, but, he's still a very awesome player.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So definitely debate him in the top 5 point guard, in the league, for sure.
So,
doubt.
You could say age was one reason they may have not gotten a lot, but he's shown no signs of regression. I'm not a basketball analytical nerd, but I would be curious to see what the analytical stats that show regression would say about him. But I guarantee you, I felt like they wouldn't say that he's going to regress. He's looked like he's same old Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And I think being with Giannis will take some of the pressure off of him.
For sure. Yeah, and the full details for this. So obviously the Bucks get Damian Lillard and Damian Lillard only. The Blazers in return get Drew Holiday, which I believe they are going to be swapping.
Yeah.
So we don't know Drew Holiday final destination yet, but in the original trade, it was Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Toumani Camara, and a 2029 first round pick, and a pick swap, I believe in 2030.
They're far away.
So, the Blazers got a good haul. Now they're not going to be able to keep Holiday, but I think if they kept Holiday, it would have been a great deal for him.
Let's just see what they get for Drew.
Yeah, so we'll see what they land. And then the Suns get Yusuf Nurkic to replace DeAndre Ayton,
which I love.
Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. And I think that is a really, really good deal for the Suns because we all know that they went all in for Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. They need that depth on the bench, and I think this trade right here kind of got them that when they're having guys like Nasir Little and Keon Johnson who are going to be guys that can go in and score and defend really well, really good 3-and-D guys, and then you got Grayson Allen who's a great, he's a good shooter. He's not really loved around the league, but he's a fine ball player, and he's going to be that guy can give you 10 points off the bench. And then Nurkic as a starting center, I believe now, so we'll see how that works.
I've always been a big fan of Nurkic just because he's not a superstar, but he does how do I want to word this? He does everything well.
Right.
He's not elite in anything, but he just does everything well. If you need him to do this, and this, he can do this, and that. He can do anything.
Right.
And I think obviously Ayton is more talented, but I think Nurkic just outplayed him so far since Ayton has come into the league. I mean, Nurkic has just been a very underrated center, and that's just because I've seen a lot of I'm a huge fan of Lillard,
Right.
so I try to watch as many Portland games as I could, and I constantly was making plays, I like the way he plays, and I think it's going to really fit with Phoenix, where he was practically the number 2 option in Portland, next to Damian Lillard, and now he can just be there. Hey, you do these little things, be kind of the Dennis Rodman, play defense, rebound, pass, score a little bit. We got Durant, we got Beal, we got Booker. We don't really need you to be the big-time scorer. We just need you to, play your role.
Exactly.
And I think he can do that.
And now with this bench depth that they got, they have those options off the bench when, because you can't play those 3 guys the whole game. You just can't.
To me, the Suns got the best haul.
Yeah,
for DeAndre Ayton, they got Nurkic and some bench, and guys like Grayson Allen. They got some nice bench depth for DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
And
Bucks got what they wanted, obviously.
And the Bucks got one guy, but that's all they needed.
Right.
And I think, you have Middleton, you have Giannis. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of them to be the engineers of the offense.
Right.
Now they have a conductor. They have somebody that can run it from the floor, and they can just score a lot of points, which is what they do best.
And which is scary is that even before, with the team they had, they were, making playoffs every year, finals. I mean, they were dangerous as a team.
Winning one,
they won one. So I feel like now adding Lillard, which, as you said, takes stress off of Giannis and Middleton and Brook Lopez and all of them. You lose your guy, your defensive, anchor in Drew Holiday. That's for sure. That's something you lost there. You're going to lose that point guard defensive production. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I think you could survive because Giannis is a defender too.
Right. Well, the only difference is now that you're going to be having a point guard that consistently scores 25 plus a game. And
I think that for Milwaukee, they basically almost swapped Drew Holiday and some bench guys for Lillard.
Yeah,
they really didn't give up that much to go get Damian Lillard. Now you'll
essentially,
know those bench players. I know their names. I don't know which ones came from where. But I assume which ones came from the Bucks. This is where my basketball.
Grayson Allen.
I thought Allen did. So they gave up Grayson Allen, 2 picks, and Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if Kamara was there.
Again, this is where my basketball knowledge will falter. Those bench guys, I'm not 100% sure on, but it's a good trade, especially for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like they won. I think the Suns won. I think Portland just kind of got what they could. I think they kind of realized, look, we're not going to get what the other stars were. Kyrie Irving, we didn't give up too much for Kyrie. You gave up Dorian Finney-Smith and, Dinwiddie. I love both of those guys, but
Dinwiddie, as we talked about this all the time back when it first happened, Dinwiddie was replaceable with Kyrie, obviously. But then losing your defensive guy.
Losing Finney-Smith really hurt, but I think, maybe you could have, I think you kind of replaced him in the draft with
Max and got Grant Williams. And
dude, getting Grant Williams was huge.
Yeah.
That was such a
And I don't
move.
think we're done. I still think that I was upset to see Aiden go to the Blazers because he was one of the guys that I wouldn't have been mad getting. But I still have faith in Nico, Harrison, and Cuban to work something out for.
They could pull off something.
For something. Because there is something that still needs to be done for this team to be a contender.
I will. You know what? I would call Portland and say, I'll trade you Dwight Powell for Drew Holiday. Oh, that would be the steal of the century. So, again, it's a very nice trade for at least 2 of the teams. I think Portland just kind of got what they could and just kind of went with it. They just didn't. It
they
kind
knew
of
Dame was gone. So
yeah.
it's just
So they knew that look, and they did the right thing.
Yeah.
Because he's given them years of loyal service, and he deserved to go to somewhere where he can win.
Yeah.
And the report about Drew Holiday is that he's going to go somewhere where they're going to trade into a contender. I like that they didn't trade Damian Lillard. They're not going to trade Drew Holiday to the Magic.
Yeah.
You go to Orlando. You know what I mean? They're going to trade him to a team where they can go win a ring.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Which is huge. So, we're going to transition to baseball now. Unless there's anything else in basketball that needs attending to.
Yeah, I think now is when we're a month away from season starting. So I think now is where we're going to be consistently getting some updates every week.
Training camp started. So
training camp started. Mavs are back in Dallas. They're working out. They've been posting practice videos together.
Yep.
Excited for the season to begin. But let's jump into baseball.
Yeah. So a lot of baseball to talk about.
Yeah.
We got the Rangers. Now again, the Cowboys are coming up. They had a bad week, but Sunday I wasn't sad because the Rangers completed the sweep of the Seattle Mariners, and I was able to go to that Saturday game where Jordan Montgomery just was nails. Was it 7 shutout innings? Leclerc came in, and it was glorious to see my guy just slam the door. But then gave it, he gave a base runner, and then they brought in Chapman. And I understand why they brought in Chapman. I know a lot of Rangers fans may be like, well, Leclerc was going. And
I was one of them.
And I know why they did it, because Bochy, Scott Service countered with Jared Kelenic, who's a lefty. Leclerc has really struggled against left-handed batters. He just has. He is one of those righty-lefty splits guys, it feels like, because what happens is this slider, or a slambio as he refers to it, when it doesn't slide to a righty, like Eugenio Suarez, it slid over the middle of the plate, but all he got was a double. But to a lefty, if they see that, that's going on the park.
Yeah.
I mean, so he just, sometimes if his pitches don't, they don't move, it's bad to a lefty. It could end really badly. So I understand that they wanted to bring in Chapman to only get 2 outs, but it was very apparent you cannot pitch Chapman back-to-back days.
Yeah.
I don't care, Bochy, what he says to you. Unless it's Game 7, I would not pitch him. But even then, I don't know, because his velocity was down. Because I remember expecting, like, I was with my mom, and I was like, get ready to see 100. I think he broke 90. I know 98, 99 is still amazing. But his 4-seamer was down to 95. His 2-seamer was down to 97, 98. I don't think he hit 100 once. I mean, it was just, you could tell his velocity was down. And and that's just something that's going to happen when he pitches back-to-back days.
Yeah.
We've seen this. He's pitched a lot in his career. He hasn't had too many injury problems, so he has a lot of mileage. It's a good thing that he hasn't had a lot of injury problems, but it's a bad thing because it means he pitched a lot. And so, you've seen what happens 2016 when Joe Madden just threw him out there every night, and you see what happens.
Yeah.
It almost cost him a World Series. Almost. And so you kind of saw that you don't really want to pitch him back-to-back days. But in the playoffs, if you pitch him in a ALCS, you pitch him Game 2, well, then it's an off day the next day. So you're fine. It feels like if he gets that off day, he's fine. So,
yeah.
But the Rangers, hey, they won. It's all that matters. And we are sitting, as the great Red Barber would say, we're sitting in the catbird seat right now. You're up 2, we're still at 2.5?
I believe 2.5 on Houston and 3 on Seattle.
You're up 2.5 on Houston. Like you said, you're up 2.5 on Houston, 3 on Seattle in the division. I mean, it's
listen, it's getting too close for comfort.
It's pretty nice. I mean, I'd rather be where we are than where the other teams are.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you've earned where you are, and then looking at the wild card, we'll do some pennant race updates here in a second. But Houston currently leads Seattle by a half game for the third wild card spot, and Toronto's up a game and a half. Obviously, Tampa Bay's already clinched a playoff spot, but them and Baltimore are kind of theirs are still coming down to the wire. But I mean, it's a battle between a 98 win team and a 96 win team.
Yeah.
But for the Rangers, you are sitting in the best seat in the house right now in your division, and that was afforded to you by we here at KNTU want to wish a very merry thank you to the Kansas City Royals for sweeping. I mean, I may send them a Christmas card, bro.
Right.
Like, I mean, it was wonderful. It was to Friday night be watching our game and then have the Houston game and see them losing. Saturday, I was at the game, right? Like I said, and we won. So then we're walking out, and we were waiting for it all to we were waiting for the crowd to die down. And I was watching the Astros game on my phone. It was the 9th inning. There were 2 other Rangers fans standing about 5 feet away, and I heard them kind of talking about what I thought was the Astros game. So I walked over, was like, "Hey, you want to watch it with me?" They're like, "Sure." So we just sat there and watched the end of the game, and we all hooted and hollered and fist pumped and high fived when Bobby Witt Jr. made that really nice play in the hole, and it was really fun to experience that with some other Rangers fans, and other people. What are you yelling about? The Astros lost. And we're all high fiving. It was just a great moment of jubilation, and man, it was just so much fun to see that Houston, they can't say anything, and it's I wish I had a time machine, and not so I could go back and do something I guess really good. I want to go back in time, just a couple weeks with a picture of the current standings, and I want to look at all those Astros fans that were in my ballpark after they were slaughtering us, that were chanting, "Let's go Astros," that were doing that stupid Chaz chomp, that were doing all of these things that was pissing me off. and writing us off. I want to go back and just go and show them that they lost 2 or 3 from Oakland. They got swept by the Royals. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the Royals have to feel good because at this point in the season, and with the draft lottery, you're not even fighting for a draft spot. You're just fighting to get slightly better, lottery odds.
Right.
But they're also playing for spoiler. Because now all of those guys, even let's say that there's a guy on that team that's never going to play baseball again, right? Let's just say, or he's a prospect that never pans out. He'll always be able to say, you know what I helped do? I helped take out the Astros at the end of the 2023 season. Like it does mean something to those guys, and it gives the Royals a chance to feel good about their team heading the next season.
Yeah.
But it was very nice to see, and we had a tough stretch there. Got swept by the Guardians, but then took 2 or 3 from Boston. Me and you were at that Wednesday game, and it's a lot of fun to see us, just score a lot of runs after it feeling like we were those runs were hard to come by. But right now, top to bottom, your lineup's hitting.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Josh Young back, Adolis Garcia. Everyone that was supposed to get healthy, it feels like right now, is healthy.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Seager is okay. He didn't break. I had a heart attack.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I was worried.
I mean, if it was a broken whatever, our season's over.
He's out for the playoffs, and maybe you can try to scrounge together a win, but it'd be really tough. So Young's back, Garcia, Evaldi's there.
His last good start was good, and something you want to see. He's still not 100%.
No, he's not. And then Gray, and I think he's still shaking off some rust. Gray looked really good. I honestly think it was just a precaution because he really looked like he was going to go back out there.
Yeah.
But they were like, dude, we have our bullpen. Just come out.
Have a solid lead.
We need you for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And but the big report, I think, for health-wise is that Max Scherzer, and, they've been talking about it, and, on the KNC Masterpiece, I think it was yesterday, they, interviewed Bruce Bochy, and he was like, well, I can't do a Bochy voice. I can't do that deep voice. But Bochy was like, well, he's been throwing the ball well, and, he's throwing. And so it's a matter of can he, and I was talking with my dad about, it's like, he knows a lot more about injury history than I do, and he was like, well, remember, this is what Corey Kluber had with us. He tore. This is what he tore with us after we traded Emmanuel Clase for him.
Yeah.
And he really was never the same pitcher after that. He's still been decent, but he, that with mixed, with some regression because of age. So you don't want him to tear it because that could really be bad for you. But I trust we have a great training staff. I trust them, and I know that Bochy does not want to jeopardize next season.
Of course not. Yeah, but listen to me. If Scherzer were to tell me that he's ready to go and he can give you 5 to 6 good innings, I say get out there.
And I'm going to the training staff because Scherzer right now wants to pitch. That's just Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a guy that was scheduled to pitch Game 5 of the World Series, had a neck injury so debilitating he couldn't brush his teeth, he couldn't get dressed, he couldn't get out of bed, he couldn't do anything. And then a couple of days later, pitches in Game 7. This is a dude that will pitch no matter what. So I want to go to the training staff, hey, can he really, and I think an interesting idea is, hey, Max, don't be the starter, okay? We don't want you to start. We want you to be a 2-inning closer. We want to bring you in the 8th and the 9th, and you shut him down. I think, or even a 1-inning closer. I think that would protect his arm a little bit more. And I know that relief is something, I don't think he's done that much. But I think if you told him, look, if you want to pitch, and we think we don't want to start you and have you throw 75 pitches multiple times, something like that. To get the pitch count down, but also to get you in the most effective time possible, we're going to make you into a late inning guy. I mean, that would be, imagine your starter only needs to go 6, and then you can go Leclerc, Chapman, Scherzer. Done. Door slammed. I mean, I feel comfortable with that. And maybe it won't happen. I think we're all being a little more optimistic than it really is.
Yeah.
The likelihood is he will not pitch. And I don't think he'll be ready for a wild card, potentially. I don't think he'll be ready for a division series. I think he could be ready for a championship series and then maybe a World Series if you get there, but we'll see.
I'll tell you this. If we made it to the World Series, he's pitching.
Yeah, I think if it was, hey,
because I think if he would have tear with something in his body for us to win, I think he would do it.
Max, Game 7, Coach, I'm pitching. Max, no, you're not. Coach, you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
I'm pitching.
Yeah.
And I think, he's going to go out there and he's a competitor. And that is where he gets the name Mad Max from. He is going to go out there and he doesn't care if he gets hurt. I think he wants to protect himself. But if you notice, he's been in the dugout. He's been one of the biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Him and Austin Hedges have been high-fiving and laughing, and it's great to see that. And I also think DeGrom will be back. I'd hope he'd be there in the dugout for the playoffs. I'd expect him to. Right now, I don't expect him to be in the dugout that much, just because you're recovering. You want to be at home. I get that. If I don't see him in the dugout, I will be a little disappointed, just because it makes that teary press conference a little bit more disingenuous. Right. But I think he would. DeGrom wants a ring. He really does. People don't realize he was in the 15 World Series. They lost. They lost to the Royals. So I mean, he is a ringless guy, and he's accomplished everything. It reminds me of what Walter Payton was saying before they played in that Super Bowl against the Patriots was, man, I've accomplished everything. I have every record at that time. I have everything I could ever want, but I don't have the ring.
Right.
And everybody wants that ring, right? Guys like Max Scherzer, guys like Nathan Eovaldi, guys like Corey Seager, they have that ring. And they're telling everyone else, Bochy has 3.
Yeah.
He can throw his on the table. So we're looking good.
Yeah. But but there's still, we're not in yet.
No, we're not in yet.
We're not in yet.
We're celebrating, but we're not in yet.
We're not in yet. There's a long way to go, and it starts with tonight, Game 3.
Gotta win tonight.
The one tied series. I mean, series doesn't really matter anymore. You just gotta win games now. The Rangers are in the best spot possible because you're right now, when the way the standings are looking, you're the team that you don't have to look at like, oh yes, Astros Mariners lost, yay, yes, that helps. But right now, with the situation that you're in,
yeah,
you just gotta win games. If you win games, you'll be fine. Don't need to worry about what other teams do.
You got, and that's something that Bochy is definitely, he's been the biggest champion. I mean, you hear it in every press conference. I'm not looking at the scoreboard. I'm telling our guys, don't look at the scoreboard. You win your games, you're in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the other teams do.
Yeah,
don't
matter.
rely. Then if we lose, then we got to worry about what other teams do. But if we take care of our business, we don't have to worry about them.
It doesn't matter.
Because we're sitting in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
We're sitting in the captain's seat. If we do if we handle our business, it doesn't matter what they do.
Yeah.
They could win 15-0. It doesn't matter. We won our game. Right. So that's been the division update here, and going on to the MLB, there's some debates because it's starting to become the awards are you're starting to see who's going to be the guy, and the big one that I want to talk about, and it looks like Blake Snell's going to be the NL Cy Young. I know people want to make a case for Mookie Betts, but I really feel like Acuna is the NL MVP
easily. To
me, the big debate is the AL MVP. Because Shohei Ohtani.
Well, before we get to there, what do we think about AL Cy Young?
What?
Is that Garrett Cole, AL Cy Young?
I'd imagine. I haven't looked at the numbers. It probably was Nathan Eovaldi.
It definitely was. For sure.
I don't know how Shane McClanahan. I know he's been injured.
No,
I haven't looked at the big time stats to see who is, and I'm going to look at those right now just to get an idea of what I'm looking at. But I think the big one is the AL MVP because you have Shohei Ohtani, who is the best player on planet Earth. He is.
No question.
Yeah, look at Garrett Cole's 14-4, 275. I mean, Zach Eflin's had a really nice season. But I feel like it's Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be either between Cole, Gray, Gausman, or Castillo.
Gausman is probably going to win the strikeout title because he's up on Pablo Lopez by 9.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it looks like Gausman's going to be the strikeout leader, but it looks like Garrett Cole's the Cy Young. It would appear to me.
Yeah.
And looking at the National League, I mean, Blake Snell.
I don't even think it's close.
The fun part about Blake Snell is he leads the league. He leads the National League. He's second in strikeouts, but that's because he's behind Spencer Strider.
Right.
But he's the leader in walks. He's walked 99 batters. His whip, I mean, he doesn't.
The fact that it's not higher than 1.2
now,
is
to be
crazy.
fair, he does not give up a lot of hits. So, that definitely works in his favor.
Yeah.
But that's why his ERA is as nice as it is. But the American League MVP, this is where things get interesting. Because, again, by the way, look at this. Dane Dunning is 14th on the ERA list at 388.
Hey, and John Gray at 15.
Oh, yeah, look at that. I didn't even see his name there. Our pitching's been
so is
Eovaldi's
he's just not qualified to
I
be
don't
up there?
know. I think, he got injured. He doesn't qualify. Because also, I don't see McClanahan.
Yeah.
So I don't think. Anyway, again, like we've been saying, Ohtani's best, but Corey Seager has had a monster season. And I love Ohtani. I do. But when I was a kid, my dad instilled a philosophy in me for the MVP. And that philosophy is it's not the best player. It's not the most talented player. It's the most valuable player.
That's what I said.
Who has the best numbers? Because don't get caught up in the names. Don't get caught up in the talent of the player. Because and the example he always uses is 1988. Kurt Gibson won the MVP for the National League with the Dodgers. And people have always crapped on that win. Well, it's one of the worst MVP because he didn't have a spectacular. He had a great season, but there were other guys that had a better season. But my dad was like, Bray, I'm telling you, they would not have gone anywhere close to a World Series without Kurt Gibson. And so I look at the same logic. There's only ever been, I think, 2 players to win the MVP on a last place team. That was Andre Dawson and Alex Rodriguez with us. I think Dawson won it with the Cubs. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he did with the Expos. I think it was with the Cubs. And I can't think of anybody else that has won in a last place team. So team success does kind of matter a little bit. It really does. And Ohtani, despite his best efforts, his team has sucked. He could not carry that team. And that's not his fault. That's Moreno's fault. That's the GM's fault. But Corey Seager, without Corey Seager, we would not be in first. We would probably not even be in the playoffs. We'd be probably where the Mariners are, a game or 2 out. I mean, I know they're half, but
yeah,
a game or 2 out. We'd still be a really good team. But Corey Seager, I mean, to me, I don't see how you could have a debate here. Again, I know Ohtani's amazing, but you look at the American League. I mean, Seager's played less games. He has more RBIs. He has a better batting average. Now, Ohtani does have him in OBP, and he does have him in slugging. Ohtani has him in some categories, but I'm looking at the valuableness. Ohtani, if you take Ohtani away, the Angels just sink even lower. You take Seager away, we sink hard. We would be not having the season we'd be having him. He's hitting .332 with a 1,000 OPS. I mean, there's only 2 players in the American League that has that, and that's him and Ohtani.
Yeah.
He's played now. They may knock him on his games because he's not even going to crack.
Yeah, and you also got to factor in Ohtani's pitching.
Right. You do have to factor in Ohtani's pitching, and again, that's where the talent comes in. But this is not who has more talent. Because if it was talent, Ohtani would have won last year too. But just like last year, Aaron Judge deserved it more. Without Judge, the Yankees would not have made the playoffs. It took Judge having a historic season for them to get in the playoffs. I mean, they had some other good, other guys that played well. But you look at team success, I mean, Seager is probably not going to crack, he's not going to crack 120 games. And Ohtani's going to play 135 as a hitter. But, I mean, Ohtani has the power. He has the home run totals. And he's walked a lot more. It's because he doesn't take walks. But look at this number, Chase. Ohtani, again, I know that the games are different. He's played in 21 more games. Ohtani struck out 143 times this year. Corey Seager's only struck out 83.
Yeah.
I mean, Ohtani struck out more times than games he played. Seager is significantly less games than he played. Almost 30 games. I mean, that is a significant number. He does not strike out a ton, and he does not walk a ton. He is the quintessential put the ball in play guy.
Yeah.
He puts the ball in play.
Yep.
I mean, his OBP is almost 400. He's the MVP. I know that Ohtani's probably going to win it. You're going to hear me say this up until award season, probably every single episode. Seager's the MVP. It's not Ohtani. Seager's, and it's not a Rangers bias. Partly because I've seen Seager play in every single game this season. But, I mean, yes, Ohtani has it in some of the numbers, but
I've been in the same boat as you. I mean, I think Seager should win it as well. And, my friends always tell me, no, it's going to be Ohtani. Seager's definitely going to be second. That's what they're saying.
He will definitely be the runner-up. It will be the most interesting awards race because if Seager can if he can win that batting title, that would be huge. I think that would.
Is there anyone above him in the American League?
No, but Yandy
Diaz is right there.
Diaz is closing. Seager's at 332. Yandy's at 328.
Well, Yandy's hurt right now.
Yes, he is.
So
we'll see. I'm sorry. I clicked on the batting average again to see who has the lowest, and Anthony Volpe has probably one of the weirdest seasons. He's 21 bombs, but a 207 batting average. Then it's Baez, Dalton Varsho, who's had a decent season. Carlos Correa. Zach Correa's just fallen off. Zach McKinstry, Miles Straw has been bad. Eugenio Suarez has only hit 231.
208 strikeouts.
For Eugenio, that's got to lead the American League. Yep.
And Teoscar
are right behind him. And then Luis Robert. And there's Adolis Garcia. But here's the difference between guys.
A little different statistically between Garcia.
But here's the difference between Garcia and Teoscar.
Yeah.
Garcia has 11 more home runs.
11 more RBIs, yeah.
11 more RBIs.
Yeah.
He has, actually does not have as good a batting average, but has a better OBP.
And slugging percentage.
And much better slugging.
And much better OPS.
So, looking at, again, the MVP, it's got to be Seager. It has got to be Corey Seager. In my humble Rangers fans' opinion, it has got to be Corey Seager. And then taking a look at the National League for their playoff race, there is a big race going on in the National League right now. And that's for the wild card. The Braves, the Dodgers, and the Brewers have all clinched. I think the only thing that could change is if the Dodgers can somehow overtake the Braves for the number 1 seed. And that's it. It's going to probably be Atlanta, Dodgers, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Philadelphia has clinched the first wild card spot. So they've taken 1 slot. So there's 2 slots remaining. Arizona's up a game. Chicago has the 3rd spot. Miami's a half back. Cincinnati's 1.5. And then San Diego and San Francisco are both 4.5. So
I'm ruling out personally San Diego and San Francisco.
I am too. I think you're just going to come up a little bit short.
I'm ruling out Cincinnati too. I think it's between Miami and Chicago. I think Arizona has Houston for a 3-game series and their year.
And not only that, but Houston's fighting for something.
They both are.
And they could get Houston pissed. Arizona's kind of what we are this year. They weren't supposed to be this good, but they are pretty good. And I mean, we're better than them, I think.
Yes, we are.
But they're kind of coming into the year. They were kind of the same kind of expectations, and they exceeded them. Not as well as we have, of course. But I know you're a big Marlins guy, but I'm pretty sure Soler is still hurt. Alcantara is not going to pitch.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Soler's hurt.
Or did Soler?
I think he is. I think I saw him playing in the field the other day.
Well, anyway, I did see that Sandy Alcantara is not going to pitch. That's a big loss for Miami. It's a big time loss for Miami.
Yeah.
To lose your best pitcher, and I know he hasn't had the type of year you've wanted him to have, but I mean, still, they're a good team. I just think they may be one more offseason away from adding some pieces. Possibly. I mean,
I think their unit is fine because you still got guys like Jesus Luzardo and Yuri Perez, who's a rookie showing a lot of talent.
Yuri looks really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got guys I think that they can really fill in for I think they got 3. Who am I missing? I'm missing someone.
I'm looking them up right now. I'm trying
definitely
to
missing someone that they have.
quickly get to their team page on Baseball Reference because it lays out a little better than MLB.com does. Looking at their starting lineup, nobody's hurt right now. They're all healthy. Jazz is healthy. Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez, Jorge Soler. Yuli Gurriel's had a decent season for him. Doesn't have the power, but he's not much of a power bat. Josh Bell has
Braxton Garrett, that's what it was.
Josh Bell's been a really nice addition. He's hit 11. They were missing one thing. If you look at their list, they have nobody besides Jorge Soler at 20 home runs, and Soler has 36.
Yeah,
they were missing power because you look at guys like Gene Segura, Joey Wendell, Luis Arraez. These are not power bats. I mean, Jesus Sanchez has 13, Jazz has 18, and Jazz would have a lot more if he wasn't injured. Brian De La Cruz has 19. But then at the deadline, they go out and acquire Josh Bell and Jake Berger. Well, Bell in 48 games with Miami has hit 11 bombs, and Berger in 48 games has hit 9. And both of them are hitting really well. If you look at their numbers right here, they're both OPS plus is over 100. I mean, they're both having they've been really nice additions to that lineup that needed some pop. And then look at their pitching staff. Alcantara's going to be out. Perez is on the 15-day IL right now. Luzardo, Braxton Garrett, Edward Cabrera, I think is who you were missing.
No, I was missing Braxton Garrett, but Edward Cabrera as well, yeah.
They've been nice. Their bullpen has been pretty darn good. And then you got, looking at who else has started in some games for
Johnny
him.
Cueto. But
Johnny Cueto, who I love Cueto. He is one of my, he has a great windup. I've always liked Johnny Cueto. They have a decent team. It's just going to come down. And they actually, remember this, they did acquire Matt Moore off waivers from the Guardians.
Yeah,
so they did add another guy to their bullpen. And then I see another name here, ex-Ranger legend, Chichi Gonzalez. Oh, wow, that's a name. But the Marlins are there. I don't know if they have enough to overtake the Cubs.
I think they'll sneak in, but I just don't see them going past round 1 in the wild card.
It's going to be Milwaukee versus probably them if they get in, and then Arizona and Philadelphia. And Philadelphia's going to win that one.
Yeah.
I feel like. And so
listen, Arizona might not even make it, but they got a big final series coming up.
They do. So we will see with baseball. But we're going to move on to college football now. Week 4, we had some good games. Florida State at Clemson went to overtime. Was a big time game. Florida State got that one out.
Yeah, Florida State was lucky to pull that one out.
Yeah, they were. Ole Miss at Bama. I really wanted Ole Miss to win that one. I think it would have been interesting, but Bama, they're still Bama. Yeah. They're just a little. There is some blood in the water though. Colorado at Oregon was the big whoa moment of the weekend for me, because I figured Colorado was going to lose. I just did not know it was going to be. What was it, 42-6?
Yeah.
It was bad. I think, and this is going into that game. I'm like, everyone is like, you better believe Coach Prime is, I brought my receipts, and I want to go. Well, I brought receipts. You've played TCU, you've played Nebraska, and you've played Colorado State. Those are not powerhouse teams. I know TCU was in the championship, but they're not the same TCU.
No.
And I think that the fact they were 17 was simply because they were the national championship, and they wanted to respect that.
Right.
But they've dropped out of the rankings now.
Yeah.
Nebraska's not ranked. Neither is Colorado State. And you were not shellacking those teams. They were with you for most of the game. And, they really pulled away from Nebraska late.
Nebraska was a beating, but TCU, it was just a shootout, 45-42, and then Colorado State, we know, game of the year.
It's one of those, you played really well, but, you're not there yet. I know you want to think you are, but you're not. No. And Oregon proved that.
Yeah.
They proved that big time. And now they got to play USC. Now they can win, but they can beat USC. What?
I see next you have Oregon and Washington State as well.
Oh,
was that Oregon State?
It was Oregon State.
Okay.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Whoops. That's just on my script. But they can beat USC maybe. But next we have Oregon State at Washington State, 2 Pac-12 opponents. I wasn't. I was at a baseball game, so I was not able to catch. Were you able to catch that game?
I wasn't.
So I have to. I was at the Ranger game. So this Saturday I missed. I missed some good college football. I really did.
Yeah.
But I went and saw Jordan Montgomery just destroy the Mariners' hopes and dreams, which I got nothing against.
Which are still aren't broken yet. Because they're going to be mad versus us in the 4-game series in Seattle.
Of course they're going to be mad.
They are going to be
But can
upset.
they beat us? That's the important thing, Chase, is can they beat us? And I don't know. Oregon State won the shootout there, 38-35. Both those Pac-12 teams are very interesting.
Yeah.
They really are. Sorry, I'm looking at something. Then we got Iowa at Penn State. Again, we just kind of threw out some games, and again, I had to check the scores because I was not able to watch, unfortunately. Then after that, Ohio State Notre Dame, which was a great game last year. It was kind of funny because I had to watch that game multiple times because of a lot of the scouting I did for Ohio State players.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that Notre Dame game probably 10 times for Ohio State players because, well, it was a good game to watch. And, but Ohio State did win 17-14 in a really close game. And Penn State blew out Iowa 31-0.
Yeah.
Texas at Baylor.
Blowout.
Yeah, Texas won. Baylor's
was it close? I have a friend that goes there. I've said that before. Baylor, he tells me all the time, Baylor's just not good.
Yeah.
He's like, this might be the worst Baylor team I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then we got week 5. Got some previews to do here. Kansas at Texas. It's a big game.
It is a big game.
Kansas,
Everyone's been overlooking Kansas for years. They're always, they're the basketball school, but they are, I believe, ranked number 24 in the country. They are 4-0, and they're coming to Austin. So, again, a team that you can't take, you can't take for granted. You got to go out there and continue playing how you've been playing, and Texas should take care of business.
Yeah, I don't think you want to lose to Kansas. I think that would really look bad. And not just because, not really because you lost, because you lost to a team that everyone thinks is a laughingstock.
Right.
Even if
no,
they're
not even. I mean, the last couple of years they've been very, very, very competitive.
even though they're not a laughing stock, people still think of them as a laughing
Right.
stock. That's the thing, is the perception. If you go up to people that know very little about college football and talk about Kansas, they may be like, "Oh yeah, they win in basketball, but they don't win in football."
Right.
So Texas ought to win that game.
Yeah.
Utah at Oregon State. This is a big time Pac-12 matchup. I mean, Utah looks like they could be trying to sneak in that college football playoff.
Yeah.
They really, I know that, they're trying. They're trying their dangest to, if that's a word. I'm going to make it a word. Dangest.
I don't think it is.
I'm coining it.
All right.
Utah is ranked number 10. Oregon State's 19. If Oregon State can win this one, if DJ Uiagalelei can help those Beavers beat the Utes, it's a battle of nice mascots.
Yeah.
It's the Beavers versus the Utes. We got Florida at Kentucky, and Florida had a big win over Tennessee. Hopefully we don't have a fight at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Which was, I find
funny.
it funny.
I did too.
They had a fight, but Florida ought to win that game. USC at Colorado, kind of talked about this one. Colorado, they got to win this game. I mean, if you want to continue being thought of as the marquee college place, you got to.
I supposed to be more competitive.
You got to at least hang with them. Yeah, you got to.
I mean, you're the home team. You're 21.5-point underdogs.
You got to hang with Caleb Williams and them USC Trojans. LSU at Ole Miss, Jaden Daniels, Ole Miss. I mean, this is gonna be a good matchup. I think Jaden Daniels is one of my favorite quarterback prospects in the entire landscape of college football. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do against another ranked opponent.
Yeah.
We got Abilene Christian at UNT. Usually, we got to mention the UNT games.
Yeah.
If we don't win this game, that's
I'll just be ready for basketball season.
Yeah, you cannot lose to Abilene Christian, bro. That is just bad. Notre Dame at Duke. Duke, the football school, will be taking on them Fighting Irish at Duke. So, I mean,
both teams would look good.
Please, dear God, let Duke win, because it would be so funny. Because nobody likes Notre Dame. Notre Dame is like the Dallas Cowboys of college football. Nobody likes them, and I really just want to see them lose. I think it'd be really, really funny. Then we got the South Carolina Gamecocks going to Tennessee, and I mean, obviously Joe Milton, probably my second favorite quarterback prospect behind Daniels. I love not Shake Milton, as I once famously called him.
A few weeks ago.
Joe Milton and his rocket arm. I mean, this is he's a really, really fun quarterback to
extremely
watch.
Talented.
And so I kind of hope Dallas drafts him. I think it'd be really fun. But I think we have our young developmental quarterback in Trey Lance. But Tennessee ought to win that game. But I mean, South Carolina's been playing some good football.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler has been trying his hardest to bring some prestige back to South Carolina. Alabama at Mississippi State. I don't know why I said that in such a country accent. Alabama at Mississippi. But, I mean, Bama's got to win this one if they want to continue being thought of as Bama.
Yeah.
If you lose this to Mississippi State, then you're that blood in the water.
You're falling close to being unranked.
Yeah, that blood in the water that I keep saying that everyone is in the SEC is smelling. They're gonna be taking advantage of it at that point.
Yeah.
So a good slate of college football games this weekend.
For sure.
And then we have to talk about this. I don't want to. I want to make that very clear to everybody out there. Me and Chase, we do not want to talk about this. Okay? Because Sunday I was feeling really nice because the Rangers had won, but also there was a dark cloud that was over my house that day. And that was because the Dallas Cowboys lost. And it wasn't just a loss. We lose games. You're not going to go 17-0.
Yeah.
I know that. But the problem I had was not just how you lost, which was awful. You lost to the freaking Arizona Cardinals, the team that has long been thought of as the Caleb Williams, future home.
Right.
I mean, it is. I don't think so. I really don't. I think they want to believe in Kyler Murray. You invest that kind of pick, you need to stick by him.
I believe more in Josh Dobbs.
I do believe in Josh Dobbs. I mean, I've always liked him. I always felt he was one of those quarterbacks that never got a fair chance. And he's getting a chance. He's showing he's a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
And there was a video of him at the Cardinals team store.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was like, "Yo, they don't got. I know I'm new, but like, I'm not an option, bro. This is we got to fix this. I just beat the Dallas Cowboys." But it was, and I know that I'm a big time, and I think I'm a big time Dak homer. And I know you're a Dak fan.
Of course.
You're not a Dak hater, not one of those Cowboys fans. I love Dak to death, and I do not think he was one of the problems.
The defense was just horrendous.
I felt that he played well. He played really well. And the problem is that his worst throw of the day came at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
And so everybody uses that throw as the ammunition to be like, well, see, Dak is trash. Dak is whatever. And I'm like, okay, clearly you didn't watch the game. You just look at the box score. Box scores don't tell you much about a sports game, baseball or football or basketball. The stat lines, they don't tell you what happened. They don't tell the story.
Right.
They can show you how a team scored points. This guy threw this guy, whatever. But you don't see it. You don't see, like we were watching, we watched I just randomly clicked on the all 22. We saw one of those, deep passes early. Stephon Gilmore didn't break, and Carson's back was turned. So, I mean, in the stat line, that is just like that looks, well, it's a pass for, what was it, like by 20 yards, whatever. But you have to watch it and go, okay, they got that because this guy did this and this guy, box scores are nice, but they don't tell the story of the game. And Dak's box score does not look amazing because the interception, and if you see when it happened, you'll go, wow, he cost his team the game. But if you watched it, you go, no, he didn't cost his team the game. Your red zone offense cost him the game. And you could say, well, the red zone offense, that's on Dak. I blame McCarthy and Schottenheimer. They better figure it out. They got to figure.
There's a lot to work on. It was just a bad game overall. The defense was just didn't come to play.
And you're facing your 3 offensive linemen are out, and honestly, in pass protection, they were fine. I never felt like they were a complete liability. I mean, Udoga did not play amazing. There were several times off that left side that he was letting a guy through, but it was, I think, in the one blocking, they had trouble getting second level. They had trouble. They had some trouble, and they're young. T.J. Bass was Brock Hoffman. Both are young guys. I like T.J. Bass. I think you could really develop him into Zach Martin's successor. It sounds crazy, but Martin's not going to be around forever. He may have, 3 or 4 more years left. Maybe you can develop, keep T.J. Bass on a cheap deal and, develop him as the backup, as the successor. But I really, if Tyron Smith's not back, move Tyler to left tackle and let Udoga play guard. Udoga's a much better guard than he is tackle.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because a guy can play, hey, I played tackle in practice. I wasn't very good at it, but just because you can play tackle, you know what to do, does not make you a good tackle. Like it's really, yes, the transition is different, but it honestly is not as hard as some analysts want to think it is. It's not easy to be able to do guard and tackle, but there's some differences, but not a ton that just makes it really difficult. But he's a much better guard than he is tackle. I think it's just because he's not good on an island. He's not good on that left tackle. You got to block this guy. You got no help. At guard, you have some help. The center can help you, guy, whatever, but the only help you have as a tackle is usually a chip, and he seemed to struggle with it. So I wouldn't mind trying to reconfigure that, especially if you want Tyler Smith to be your future left tackle. You may want to start playing him over there at left tackle. Could be a smart thing to do, but then, like you said, the defense just was awful.
Yeah,
and the penalties, I never liked blaming the refs, and I stress to everybody, don't blame the refs. Even in a game like the Des Bryant game, it was 4th and 1, and you threw a deep ball. You didn't run DeMarco Murray. He ran for 1,800 yards that year. So even then, you could point out, yes, the refs made a bad call, but you could have done this. When all those Saints fans were crying about the pass interference, there was still an overtime. There was still, just because that call did not cost you the game, it certainly did not help your chances, but you still had multiple chances to win that football game and didn't. So you cannot blame the pass interference. Just like I don't blame the refs for the Des catch. I hate it. If it had been called properly, we may have won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
But I don't blame the refs solely because they could have run a nice little draw. They could have run a sweep. They could have run something that got 2 yards, not trying to go for the end zone. But I felt like the refs just didn't help you. And the big one for me was when they picked up the PI call against I think it was Marco Wilson on Gallup. That's PI. I know the NFL, and I'm pretty sure the NFL has sent out a memo that said, hey, quit calling so many pass interferences. People are getting pissed at the amount of flags you guys are throwing. So I understand that, but in that game, those were some flag-happy refs. And then suddenly, no, we're not going to throw one.
And then
We're gonna
CD got called for the OPI, which I think could have gone either way.
It was one of those games where it felt like they picked the wrong times to throw it and the wrong times to not throw it. And that was PI. Not because he got there early. He did, but Gallup still got his hands on the ball. He didn't turn around. Unless they've changed the rule, and I don't think they have, if you don't turn your head around and you make that contact before him, that's pass interference.
Yeah.
It's textbook. I don't care if it's, well, you're letting them play. No. That's pass interference by the rule book. Okay? I don't want to, you know what I mean? It really bothers me because that could have been a nice first down. I mean, the red zone offense still may have sputtered, but hey, it was a bad game everywhere.
Yeah.
So you move on. And New England scares me because, I mean, Bill Belichick, I mean, if whoever, if Jonathan Gannon can contain your offense, imagine what Bill Belichick can do. I mean, that's scary. To me, it's going to come down to the Bill O'Brien versus Dan Quinn matchup. Who wins that? If Dan Quinn can beat Bill O'Brien, which I'm fairly certain he can, then you can win this football game.
Yeah.
But I hope the defense gets a fire lit under their butts because they looked tired. They looked like this. Well, we're the Cowboys. They're the Cardinals. We're going to win. So we don't have to try. We don't have to do it. We could just, be out there. Everyone made mistakes. Jaron Kearse made mental mistakes. Donovan Wilson made mental mistakes. Your inside run defense was fine. Hankins was an anchor. And Monty, I felt, played pretty well too. But when they ran to the outside, it felt like your linebackers and safeties had no idea what they were doing. They missed open tackles. They took awful routes. I felt like I was watching a whole team of Jalen Smiths playing run defense here. I mean, it was awful. So I'm hoping that they can figure out their crap before the Patriots. Because if you don't play assignment style football against Bill Belichick, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
If you don't
100%.
And they have the potential defensive rookie of the year in Christian Gonzalez, who's been playing exceptionally well.
Mm-hmm.
My Patriots insider, also known as Seth, the guy's on the draft show with us. He's telling me that Jonathan Jones is back. Jack Jones could be back, so they could have their three of their corners back. They've got a really good defense, but what scares the crap out of me is that front. Matthew Judon, Josh Uche, Dietrich Wise, Christian Barmore. If your offensive line is hurt, I pray for Dak.
Yeah.
They still gave up 2 sacks against the Cardinals front, and their front's not that good. The Patriots front is arguably as good or better than yours. I know that sounds, it is, because Barmore, with Osa playing the way he is, I don't think so. But arguably they got some dudes over there. Yeah. And they're going to eat your lunch if your offensive line's not healthy. So you got to get healthy. I felt that Bland played okay. He's still pretty new to the outside because he was our slot guy most of last year.
Right.
And then got put outside. But I think Dan Quinn's going to do some fun configurations like Israel Mukwamu. Obviously you've seen with guys like Marquise Bell, who's been kind of put everywhere on the field. I really think that, the Cowboys are going to figure it out, but it was just a bad game.
Yeah.
So, I went 11-5. Looking at we will have to rush these a little bit because we don't want to take up too much time. But yeah. Niners and Giants. The Niners won that one. That was pretty easy. Then we got the Ravens. Got Colts at Ravens. I think we both took Ravens.
1-1.
I'm just it was the Colts. The Colts played better.
Yep.
Titans at Browns. I took the Browns. Browns won that game. I felt pretty good about it.
Took the Browns as well.
Falcons at Lions. I took the Lions. I think so did you.
I think. Yeah, I took the Lions. There was something I disagreed with you on. It wasn't that yet.
No, it was. I think it was. It wasn't Saints at Packers.
I took the Saints.
You did. The Packers won. So there's a loss for you.
Yeah.
Texans at Jags. We both took a loss on this one.
Yep.
Because the Texans, if their offensive line was healthy, they'd be a pretty darn good football team.
I kind of like how their offense has been.
Their O line just does not play well because they're all injured, and so Stroud is getting David Card.
Yeah.
Broncos at Dolphins. Oh, this was a fun one. I have to just talk. Just a quick little.
Yeah.
This was.
You took Dolphins, right?
This was yes, I did.
Okay.
This was a historically bad performance from the Broncos. I walked into my history class yesterday, and our teacher, our professor, sorry, I have to get used to saying that. Our professor was like, class, I love sports. And we're like, what? He goes, well, because you can always look at someone else and be going, I'm having a bad day, but I'm not having as bad a day as a Broncos defensive coordinator. So, keep dropping my freaking pen. I like to talk with a pen, even though you can't see me. I think they're both with the Dolphins. They scored 70 points. They had a Madden score.
Yeah.
Okay. Chargers at Vikings. I think you took the Chargers.
I think I did.
And I took the Vikings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
I think that's when we disagreed on it.
Patriots at Jets. I had the Pats. I think.
I took the Patriots. I don't trust the Jets yet.
Yeah, you don't trust the Jets. And if you didn't hear the report, there's some turmoil going on in the Jets that a lot of the players are mad that Saleh keeps just praising Zach Wilson. And I thought that Seth, I talked to him about it last night. He made a good point, which was, what's he supposed to say? Well, the guy that's going to be our starter for the rest of the season, he sucks. I hate him. You have to defend him in public, but I think it's just the players more just mad that Zach Wilson's their quarterback again. Because if you had Aaron Rodgers, you could be 3-0.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have beat again. I don't think they would have beat us. But if they had Aaron Rodgers, they would have beat New England. So they only lost by 5 points. So and they only scored 10.
Yeah.
So I really feel like that. The Jets are just they're spiraling again. Poor Jet.
We'll see what adjustments they can make.
Yeah. Bills at Commanders. Bills. Yeah. Panthers at Seahawks. I'm happy. You let me know that Bryce Young was out because I switched the Seahawks and I was right there. I think so were you. Bears at Chiefs. And again, quick side note to all the Swifties, she was there, and it is
shocker. She was there.
It is confirmed. All right. And I don't like the gossip stuff just because it's not sports. It's for all the non-sports fans to just get into it a little bit. It is interesting though. It is really fun just because it adds a level of non-seriousness to sports, which is kind of nice. But my favorite joke has been someone was like, if football analysts aren't careful, the Swifties are crazy, and they're going to be like, it's too high safety. They got to run this. Like they're going to be smarter than the coaches, because they're going to crash course football, football strategy, and because they're very dedicated to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And the next album, I think, it's going to be titled "I Hate the Kansas City Chiefs." I think I think it's going to be her next album will be interesting. Cowboys at Cardinals. Just talked about this one. I think we both had Dallas, and we were wrong. Steelers at Raiders. Both. I think I had the Raiders in that one, and I think you did. I'm sorry, I had the Steelers. Sorry,
I had the Raiders.
Okay.
I was gonna say I remember we disagreed on that one. So whatever. Yeah.
I had the Steelers.
Yeah.
And I was right. Buccaneers at Eagles at Bucks. I'm mad at you for this one.
It's okay. I went with them too.
You coaxed me in. You persuaded me. You tricked me into picking the Buccaneers, and then I picked them, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong too, though.
But they did put up a decent fight at first, so it'll be interesting. I mean, the Eagles are playing really well.
Yeah.
Rams at Bengals. I had the Bengals.
I had the Bengals too,
and they won. So I went 11-5.
I went 10-6.
So all right, we're feeling pretty good. I think the Raiders was what you lost yours on.
Yeah.
Week 4. All right, we got some big games here in Week 4. Lions at Packers. They're in Green Bay. Thursday Night Football. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Jordan Love, they squeaked it out. I think that Dan Campbell is going to build off of last year where they went into Lambeau and beat him. I got the Lions in this game.
Give me the Lions as well.
All right.
Kind of just put to the right. And, I guess you just put to the right.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a C next to the team that you picked.
Okay.
So that, for Chase.
Yeah.
That works for me. And I usually put minus right here. So if you know what, you guys can't see what we're talking about. I have a little notebook that I keep it on because I do it by hand because it feels nicer. You good?
Yeah.
Falcons at Jaguars. I know the Jaguars played bad.
So this is a London game, member.
This is a London game. And the Jags, what's the record in London? I'm curious because they usually play well because that's Rashad Khan.
I think they won their first. Remember, I think they were a 0-1 team when they went there last week or last couple of years, and they won. I think on for Riley Patterson game-winning field goal. If I'm correct.
So they asked Jerry Jones about the Taylor Swift stuff, and he said that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones lauds Taylor Swift's effect on NFL TV ratings. Quote, "It makes you smile." I mean, it helps. Yeah. It does help the ratings. I mean, the Swifties are going to be all Chiefs fans. I mean, they really are. That's exactly what we need, Chase. More bandwagon freaking Chiefs fans.
Exactly. Yeah.
But hey, it'll be interesting.
Anyways, give me the Jags.
Give me the Falcons.
All right.
I'm gonna take the Falcons. I think the Jags are just reeling from that loss against the Texans, and I think the Falcons.
Put me on the other side.
Yeah, just right. Boom. See.
Yep.
Dolphins at Bills. This is gonna be a big team. This is a big game. The Dolphins look really good, and Jalen Waddle's back at practice.
Mm-hmm.
So that offense
They said he's
gets
optimistic.
that offense gets better. It just scored 70 points, and that's not a bad Broncos defense. So in my at least secondary wise, in my opinion, it's tough because they put in a lot of points, and so could they be overconfident?
I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to go with the Bills.
I think I'm gonna go with you on this one. I'm gonna go with the Bills, just because I like that.
Yeah.
Vikings at Panthers. Bryce Young will be back, and the Vikings are just spiraling. So I do look at coordinators. Brian Flores, who's a disciple of Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick always killed rookie quarterbacks, always, and Flores was always there. So it's a tough matchup. The Vikings really need to get back in the win column. But the Panthers, Bryce Young could really use a win. So it's one of those, it's an interesting game. I think Bryce Young's still playing a little injured. I'm going to take the Vikings.
I'm going to take the Vikings as well.
All right. So
I'm not overlooking it. I'm looking at the better team here.
Yeah, Broncos at Bears. Now this has a chance to be the greatest game of the year. Broncos at Bears. This is the Super Bowl, guys. This is the biggest game of the year. Give me the Bears.
Give me the Broncos. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
All right, give me the Bears. I mean, the Broncos are they're dead. Ravens at Browns. Now, that was Ravens at Bengals that played. Ravens at Browns, they're in Cleveland. Ravens coming off a bad loss to the Colts, not looking very good. The Browns looking pretty good. I'm taking the Browns at home.
I'm going to go with Baltimore here.
All
I know
right.
they're beat up. I know the run game is, they don't really know who their starting running back is right now. But I think that
we'll see.
Just look at who they have on the other side of the ball. Lamar Jackson. I'm just going to go with that.
Steelers at Texans. They're at home. Steelers coming off a big win. TJ Watt's probably going to kill CJ Stroud.
Texans coming off a big win, though.
But Texans coming off a big win, playing with some confidence. I'm taking the Steelers, though. I want to pick the Texans so bad, but I just can't.
I really do, too. And because you picked the Steelers, I'm going to go with the Texans.
All right. We're going to disagree a little bit here.
I'm going to do it.
I don't want to force you, though, to do that.
No, it's not that. I wanted to go with them anyway. I think that they, after this week that they had, they really have that, like, that spark now that, like, whoa, we could put up 31 points in a game against a team that, I don't know if they put up 31 exactly. I don't remember what the score was. I think they put up a good amount. They might have been 31. But anyways, I mean, I think that they got the momentum right now. Yeah. So give me them.
Rams at Colts. Now, I think the Colts get AR.
Yeah, he's questionable, but
give me the Rams. I think their offense is gonna eat the Colts lunch.
I think I'm going with the Colts.
All right.
They can beat them without Anthony Richardson versus beat the Ravens without Anthony Richardson.
All right. Hey.
I think they can. They're at home. They're at home versus the Rams, so I think they can.
Your funeral. Buccaneers at Saints. Give me the Saints at home. Give me the Saints. I mean, they're coming off a really close win in Lambeau. Yeah. Give me the Saints.
Give me the Saints too, and I think these will be the two teams that kind of decide the NFC South. So this will really be big.
Got the Commies going up to Philadelphia, the city of the most ironically named city of all time, the city of brotherly love. I still find it funny. As much as I want to pick the Commanders, I'm picking the Eagles.
Commanders have been ruining a lot of people's seasons.
And I swear, and I'm not changing if you tell me to. No,
I'm going with the Eagles too.
Yeah. All right. Bengals at Titans. Give me the Bengals in this game. I like the Titans, but they're bad loss. Bengals need to get back, need to stay in the win column. Give me the Bengals.
Same here. I'm with you.
Road.
I'm with you.
Raiders at Chargers. Chargers are just give me the. You know what? I'm picking an upset. Give me the Raiders, because I think the Chargers are just in a really bad place right now. I think Brandon Staley is going to get fired at some point this season.
I can see it too.
So give me the. I think this is going to be one of those games that you look back and say that's why he got fired. Give me the Raiders.
I'm saying the Chargers though. I think Eckler is on his way back.
Yeah.
And they lost Mike Williams for the year, which sucks.
Here's the big one.
But give me the Chargers.
Patriots at Cowboys. Cowboys coming off a bad loss. They got to have a fire lit under their butt. Give me the Cowboys. I know that's a bit of a bold pick after last week, but I'm sticking with my boys.
Give me the Cowboys.
You going with the Cowboys?
Yep.
All right. Cardinals at Niners. Again, I want to go with the Cardinals so bad. I want to look like a genius. However, I don't see that happening. I think the Niners have an offense that's just going to kill the Cardinals.
Give me the Niners.
Give me the Niners. I mean, unfortunately, I do hope the Cardinals win though.
Yeah.
Chiefs at Jets. Chiefs. I mean, the Swifties get a win, and I'm gonna circle the C because there's a lot of C's there. Chiefs. Seahawks at Giants at home. Give me the Hawks. I mean, I just don't see the Giants winning this game.
Give me the Seahawks.
And then Monday Night Football. Oh, wait, that's Monday Night Football. That's
there's
it.
2 Monday nights.
Sorry.
There's 2 Monday night
That's
games.
it.
Yep.
So, and again, we will not be able to mention these games until the next week. So next week will be baseball playoff preview. We're going to each have a bracket. What we think is going to happen. We will know if the Rangers are in the playoffs at that point. So we're hoping that the next time we're talking to you folks, that the Rangers will be in the playoffs. And, it really...
It's crunch time.
It is. And so we're hoping it's going to be a great weekend of sports. We will mention the Cowboy game next week. And we'll probably preview the next game because they're the Cowboys. And that's, we do DFW sports.
You sure you don't want to go over the Sunday games and Thursday game?
Aside from that, we can and just reiterate Monday Night Football. And then we may just do that.
Yeah.
And then we will do Week 5 predictions as well.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a little wonky because whoever the Seahawks and the Giants play, it'll be like, well, we don't know who's, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you guys next Monday for the emergency episode.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be dubbed. And again, you can listen to this episode on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music. It's on all three under the same name. And I posted it to all my stuff. So, guys, we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, hopefully with some smiles on our face. So.
Hopefully. Yep.
See you guys.
See you.